Greetings. This is Dr. OG. Today, I wanted to discuss a critical concept that will bring you optimal health during the lockdown. Many people are wondering, what can I eat? And they're focusing on food and they're overeating. During this panic pandemic, stress eating is truly epidemic. So, what we should do is an ancient practice of fasting. If we fast every single day, we will have incredible health benefits. I'm going to share with you today evidence-based research showing you exactly how many hours you should fast every single day to protect your brain from degenerative changes, to protect your heart and your lungs, and even to protect your DNA from premature aging. If you practice a daily fasting routine, it'll bolster your mental health and your athletic and physical performance. I want to share this with you today because there's so many quacks and charlatans who are offering misinformation. I'm going to offer you evidence-based information. Today, we're going to talk about fasting for self-care. And if we do this is going to be an incredible panic pandemic action plan. So instead of overeating and gaining what I call the quarantine 15, you're going to learn a fasting technique to protect yourself during the COVID-19 lockdown and quarantine. We've reviewed this in a previous video. This is the lifestyle choices you can make to boost your immune system. This is an infographic from the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. And we've reviewed this before, but healthy eating is one thing, but they should have included in this infographic fasting or not eating, because when you don't eat and you fast for a certain period every single day, you get a plethora of health benefits that we are going to review today. In this article from the New England Journal of Medicine, published December of last year, they review how fasting affects health, aging, and it prevents disease and even reverses chronic disease. They go on to cite the metabolic mechanism on how this happens. But as you can see, they say that, however, most people consume 3 meals plus snacks, so intermittent fasting does not occur in most people. And 8 hours of fasting a day is not enough. 9 or 10 hours is not enough. We'll discuss the plan that will trigger the metabolic switching to give you all of these health benefits. If you just want to know exactly how many hours a day you should fast, then I'll review this slide with you and you can carry on. After this slide, I'm going to review all of the scientific jargon of what happens in your body. But for the basics, this fasting 101, the bare minimum that you should be fasting is 12 hours every night. In other words, the last time you eat, let's say it's 7 p.m., then you should fast overnight and not eat anything until breakfast at 7 a.m. If you do a 12-hour fast, you will get some benefits. You will start the metabolic switching. Your body will start gluconeogenesis and producing ketone bodies, which triggers a signal that creates health in your body. But I recommend the sweet spot. If you want the most benefits, I would recommend making a routine of 15-hour to 18-hour daily fast. What does that look like? Basically, with a 15-hour fast, if you eat at 7 p.m., you delay your breakfast, and the next time you eat is 10 a.m. the next morning. That's your 15-hour fast. a delayed breakfast. If you want to take it to the next level and get tremendous health benefits, basically you skip breakfast and eat at approximately 1 o'clock your lunch. So your eating window here, time restricted, you're eating between 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. So that's a 6-hour eating window, and you have an 18 hours of fasting. And the article that I'm going to share with you today recommends that you eventually get to 18-hour daily fast for you to have the enormous health benefits. And if you want to take it to another level, some people are doing a 23-hour daily fast. In other words, they're having one meal per day. So they're skipping their breakfast and lunch. And this is optional. I don't recommend it. I recommend the sweet spot of 15 to 18 hours of a daily fast. And I'll explain why this will be so crucial for your health. This recent article has the process of what happens. Most people begin eating at early in the morning, 5, 6, 7 a.m. And that food consumption triggers the fed state. And that's where you have insulin secretion. So people are getting insulin resistance because they're constantly eating and they're producing free fatty acids. And then what your body ends up doing is it takes these excessive calories. And by the way, excessive calories could come from protein, carbs, or fat. But your body, with its supreme intelligence, will convert those excess calorie and it'll store it as fat in your adipose tissue. But most people don't give their bodies a break enough in terms of fasting. But at around the 12-hour mark is when you start to get the protective benefits of fasting. You start releasing less insulin. You start going into gluconeogenesis, and your body starts using free fatty acids for energy. You start creating ketone bodies, beta hydroxybutyrate, and triggers hormonal signals to your body that produce health and vitality. And like I mentioned earlier, the sweet spot is 15 to 18 hours to get those benefits. I am not recommending a prolonged fast of 36 to 48 hours or greater than 48 hours during this lockdown and pandemic. There's just too much stress that we're dealing with. I'm recommending a daily fast of at least 12 hours. You start getting benefits. 15 to 18, you have the sweet spot of adaptation for your cells in your body to stress and disease. And I'll explain shortly the biochemical pathways that allow for these incredible health benefits to happen. First, I'd like to talk about the different types of fast that we have and which one I recommend. I recommend time-restricted fasting, as mentioned earlier, eating only during certain time periods, so that sweet spot of eating between 1 and 7, if you can get there, then fasting for the remaining hours of the day. So that can be anywhere between 12-hour daily fast to 18-hour daily fast. And that's where you're going to get really the maximal health benefits. I do not recommend alternate day fasting where you alternate between feasting, ad lib intake, and fasting. And I'll tell you exactly why I do not recommend this. I do not recommend periodic fasting for up to 24 hours once or twice a week with ad lib intake on the remaining days. The reason I don't recommend alternate day fasting and periodic fasting is because, as we can imagine, during the stress, the panic, there's so much stress eating that when you start eating ad lib intake, you're going to overeat, and it's going to lead to binge eating and potentially to binge eating disorder. I recommend, instead of creating an eating disorder in your body, just make it a habit to do time restricted fasting. It's a daily habit that you can actually follow and you actually feel good. And it's a lot easier to make that as part of your daily routine instead of starving yourself for 24 hours and then binge eating when you're allowed to eat. This is a nice summary of what's happening with intermittent fasting and calorie restriction. You're with intermittent fasting, you're still intaking during the day adequate amount of protein, carbohydrates, and fat, and your body is getting signals through fasting that's it's turning on hormonal pathways in your body, and you're getting the appropriate nutrients. And in summary, what you're creating is stress resistance in your body. You're detoxing autophagy and getting rid of broken down proteins you no longer need. You are protecting yourself from diabetes and heart disease with your glucose and lipid metabolism. You're reversing premature aging. You are promoting biological youth, and your cells are surviving. So this process is associated with longevity, and it helps reverse biological aging. And the end result is health and stress resistance. So the pathway starts really with when you go into fasting, what you're doing is your body is overnight, it's taking the fat cells in your triglycerides and it's releasing, so your fat cells are shrinking. So you're losing weight, you're getting rid of excess 6 o'clock. You're getting rid of excess fatty acids in your adipose tissue, and your body uses these fatty acids and sends a signal to your liver, and your body uses that as well as acetyl-CoA. And then these signals, one of the things that happens is you produce ketone bodies, as I mentioned earlier. And the ketone bodies, one of them being beta hydroxybutyrate, is sending a signal to your brain, to your heart, to your muscles, and you're creating new brain cells. It's activating brain-derived neurotrophic factors. So you're actually creating new neurons. You're improving your athletic performance. You're more stress resistant. You're promoting longevity at the mitochondrial level. You're increasing your ATP production, so you're generating more energy, more mental clarity. You're also improving your gut microbiota. So you're improving your gut microbiome. So these changes are happening overnight while you're fasting, and they're continuing in the morning when you delay the fast, as I mentioned earlier, to that sweet spot, 15 to 18 hours of a daily fast. Now let's discuss the short-term and long-term health benefits of fasting. So with periods of intermittent fasting, also as you notice, exercise triggers the same metabolic switching that occurs with fasting. So you have systemic and cellular adaptation. So basically you're going into ketogenesis, and you are protecting your mitochondria, you're increasing antioxidant defenses, you're detoxing your body, you have increased DNA repair, decreased insulin associated with longevity. And the end result is you have resistance of cells and organs to stress. And then the long-term adaptations are profound. Less risk of metabolic syndrome and diabetes, increased heart rate variability, which is associated with a more balanced parasympathetic nervous system, improved lipid metabolism, so you're protecting yourself from heart disease, healthy gut microbiota, reduced abdominal fat, reduced inflammation, reduced blood pressure and heart rate. And overall, this produces resilience and disease resistance. I'm sure all of us want to come out of the quarantine with more resilience and disease resistance. We don't want to come out of the quarantine with the quarantine 15 pounds that we're going to gain if we don't protect ourselves. When we protect ourselves with a daily plan of intermittent fasting and make it a long-term lifestyle habit, we have data of the results. The Okinawan elders, which have the highest rate of centenarians in the world, their studies show, compared to the average American diet, the Okinawan elders have a plan of calorie restriction and optimal nutrition. They consume less calories, they fast for longer periods of time. And what are the results? The results are powerful and very, very notable. The Okinawans, this is coming from the CDC in America and Japan, it shows that when it comes to heart disease, the Okinawans have significantly lower heart disease than Americans. They have significantly lower prostate cancer. Breast cancer is lower in Okinawans compared to the average US. And Alzheimer's disease, very significant in males compared to females as well, in terms of Okinawan elders being protected because of their diet, which is associated with optimal nutrition and lower calories throughout their entire lifetime. And in fact, they're also more physically active. I love this picture from an Okinawan elder who's almost 100 years old. I believe he was 97 in this picture, and he's battling a 30-something-year-old, and this made headline news. And this is how the human body was designed to be: healthy, active, vibrant, without chronic disease. When we engage in a daily plan of intermittent fasting, we too can achieve a long, happy, healthy life. So instead of gaining the quarantine 15, why don't we all practice a daily fasting plan? And I guarantee you, if you did this, you will feel the incredible health benefits in the short term and in the long term. Thanks for watching. Peace.